WWE Clash in Paris 2025 is in the books, and I gotta say it was not a terrible show. Kind of enjoyed it. Went a little bit long, about 3.5 hours for only 6 matches. The first match took the entire first hour with everything they were doing with the productions and the entrances and the post-match beatdown and all of that. Really, really stretched out show for the amount of matches they had, but I still think tonight's show was very solid, which is something I mentioned yesterday in the podcast. In the predictions, I said, on paper, this thing isn't the most gorgeous. This isn't the most gorgeous card we've ever seen, but I just had a feeling that it would still deliver for the most part, mainly because they are in Paris in front of an audience of 30,000 that were going to be jacked, and they were. They had a great time here. I think Logan Paul and John Cena even over-delivered a bit. We had a little surprise in the end main event with Seth surviving and who helped him out. And overall, I thought the show was decent. I'm going to rank this a B. Normally, I like to hear what you guys have to say first. See how you rank the show. By the way, give me your rankings, A, B, C, or D, 1 through 10. I'm giving it a B and a 7.5. I thought it was a pretty decent show. And once again, perfect in the predictions. Not a single match wrong on this. I said yesterday that I'm not predicting any title changes to happen, so we're going to have to see something else to make this pay-per-view considered good, whether it be all solid matches or maybe some surprises, and I think we got a little bit of a mixture of both, even though not every match was terrific. Most of them were, and I thought Clash in Paris was pretty decent. So let me know what you guys think in the chat. We are here to review this. We're going to make this pretty quick because, as was the case last Sunday with Forbidden Door, also an overseas show, we are going to be back in just 2 hours to watch In Your House Mind Games. So that link is already up. We're going to be probably doing this review for about an hour, then we're going to take an hour break, regroup, and we'll be back to watch In Your House Mind Games later on tonight at 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific. So just keep that in mind for later. We are still going to be doing our classic Sunday watch-alongs. Thank you so much for being here. Glad you guys are here with us on a Sunday afternoon. I'm sure there's lots of options out there on YouTube right now of people doing Clash reviews. So if you are here, thank you so much. We'll do some quick shout-outs here in just a second, and then we will get going on the results of the show here and just kind of giving the overall show a glance. The things that really stick out, probably just the main event, and the opener was the big story there. The Vision pretty much bookended the show. As we mentioned yesterday in the predictions, we had a feeling that Roman Reigns and Bronson Reed would open the show. They did, but the story wasn't necessarily the match. It was what happened after, when Roman Reigns got absolutely decimated and stretchered out of the arena. So this is a couple of times now they've done this to Roman, and I feel like it's just a cover to keep him off of TV for a little while until they're ready to bring him back or possibly start building to War Games, because it's definitely going to be the Vision and Roman and Punk and a combination of some guys, right? It's probably what we're looking at for War Games. So Roman was kind of, temporarily written off TV once again here when he got absolutely destroyed by Braun Breaker and by Bronson Reed, who hit him with tsunamis while he was on the stretcher. Paul Heyman Roman Reigns, I should say, also got his hands on Paul Heyman and choked him out, which meant in the main event, Seth Rollins was going in there all by himself because Adam Pearce threw out Breaker and Reed after the first match, and then, of course, Paul Heyman was choked to death. So Rollins had to go out there on his own, and we were speculating throughout the course of the show, at least on social media, could this be a new member for the Vision? This is a perfect place to debut a new member, and I don't necessarily think we got a new member. What I think we got was one spouse helping out another spouse. And Rollins, in his pre-match interview prior to going out there, did say that he had a plan B, and I don't think any of us were thinking that it could actually be his heel wife, and it did wind up being her, and I kind of like that, and it makes you wonder, CM Punk, AJ Lee, Seth Rollins, Becky Lynch, maybe a mixed tag at WrestlePalooza. If they really want to stack the deck against All Out, that's a match right there that will pique people's interest. So you never know. But for Becky to be a part of that, and we already know Punk is married to a wrestler, you can't at least think about it. I know AJ's never coming back. I know. I'm not stupid. I read the same internet as you. But you got to at least think about it. So overall, pretty interesting tonight. One prediction that I didn't get right was my, I guess it wasn't a prediction, but speculation in the Donnie Brooke that would be a good place for Lana to make her return and help Rusev win. So I kind of got that prediction right. It was just the wrong wife. It was Becky Lynch coming out to help her man, and we didn't see Lana, and we haven't seen Lana back, at least not yet, but I still think there is a chance there. But overall, decent show this afternoon, or this evening in Paris, this afternoon if you're on the East Coast, and this morning if you're on the West Coast. Luckily, this show started at 11 a.m. 11 a.m. isn't so bad. It's the 9 a.m. and the 10 a.m. shows with me, who's a night owl, who works nights, who goes to bed at 4:30 in the morning. Sometimes 9 o'clock is just a little bit too early for me to be up and watching a PPV. So the fact that I had until 11 o'clock to sleep in, get up, start watching the show, that was a little bit easier. But I was really surprised that the entire first hour was taken up by the first match. Pretty crazy. So anyway, sound off there in the chat. Let me know what you guys thought of the show. Welcome to your WWE Clash in Paris 2025 review. Super chats are open as always. Make sure you like button that. Smash it hard. Make sure you're subscribed. I will answer all of your questions and super chats as we go through here. And don't forget, later on, in just a little bit, we're going to be back to watch In Your House Mind Games from September of 1996, 29 years ago. That is what is on tap for this lovely Sunday evening, a hot Sunday evening, or afternoon. Shit, it's only 4 o'clock in the afternoon here, but it is hot as hell in San Diego, and has been for the past week or so. And as you see, Tito, you see his feet there, but Tito has been sitting on that coffee table for like the last 10 or 11 days because it's hot, and that's just the coolest place for him to lay. He's been drinking water like a motherfucker. We got the AC running, but still, it's just hot. It's just hot. So wherever you are, if it's really hot, I hope you're staying cool, and thank you for being here for our Clash in Paris review. Let me go over here to the chat, knock out some of these shout-outs. We'll get and hit these super chats if any are coming in, and then we will get rolling on the review. Good to see Zane G. Melissa is in the house. We've got Ajax Johnson. Seth Rollins wins again, but still takes a massive L. Dude needed his wife to help. You could look at it that way, Ajax. You could also look at it as, damn, CM Punk got beat by a girl. Part of the reason why I was hesitant to mention the Lana thing was because if these two guys are having a Donnie Brooke and they're beating the shit out of each other, and the deciding factor is little Lana coming in there and messing with Sheamus, I wasn't sure if that would be realistic. So yeah, sure, Seth might have needed his wife, but it was Punk who took the loss. Punk was the one, that got bested by a woman. But Rollins, if I was to look at this kind of honestly, Ajax, I kind of think that makes him look a little bit cerebral. He was able to surprise us with something that was right under our nose. Now, I don't know if social media or anybody else had sniffed out the possibility of Becky, but when Breaker and Reed were banned from the building and Heyman was injured, all of that speculation, oh my God, how was Seth going to survive a fatal four-way by himself? We had Tony D rumors popping up. We had all these ideas of someone else joining the Vision, and I don't think anybody really thought Becky. So I think that was kind of surprising, and I kind of think it has the opposite effect on Rollins, is that he was able to surprise everyone with something that we should have seen coming, and nobody did. So I kind of liked that aspect of it. Max Pokebra is here. We love Becky and Seth in this chat. Max, right, we do. Good to see the new one, Vontae. What's up, man? If AJ Lee could come back now, this is the time. That's right. I mean, it is the time. If she wasn't going to come back, I would have somebody else. So, I mean, you could have just not done the angle. I think that would have been boring, though. I think the Becky thing made it okay. And that's one thing I'll credit WWE on for this main event, is that we saw enough of that type of shit during the Bloodline days, right? With Roman Reigns surviving a lot of the same way every time. Even the WrestleMania 39 thing was Solo Sikoa coming back in, and there was no surprise, no new member. It was Solo. And there were so many times like that where Roman was retaining in the exact same way every time. So the Vision is set up to operate much in the same way. where Rollins is going to, have this huge advantage. And here he is in a fatal four-way where there is no rules. And I mentioned that yesterday in the predictions. I said Seth has no excuse for not walking out of this match the champion. I don't care that he's at a technical disadvantage. He technically only has a 25% chance of winning, but he really has a lot higher than that since there is a Steiner on his team, and we all know how Steiner math works. So there should be no excuses for Rollins not to pick up the W here. But then once everybody got knocked out, I think they did that on purpose. I think they rammed that angle and banned the other two from the building just so they wouldn't give us the same finish we've been used to seeing for the past 5 fucking years. So they hit us with something different. Seth Rollins was able to survive because we knew he wouldn't be dropping the belt here tonight. So if it would have been just the vision helping him out, I don't know if we would have been looking at this pay-per-view as fondly as we were. Oh, it was just Breaker and Reed coming out. They took out everybody and then Seth wins. Kind of lame. I feel like that would have been the response because that's the type of finish and the type of scenario that we've seen big-time heel champions utilize frequently in the last several years. So they went in a different direction here, gave us something a little bit different, and CM Punk in the main event gets screwed again. So how many times is this now? Lost in the main event to WrestleMania, lost to John Cena when Seth screwed him over. I swear Seth screwed him over one other time too. And now here, he gets screwed over by the man, Becky Lynch. So we'll see how all of that shakes out. FRGN, good to see you, man. The Vision is here to stay. Well, they're here. I don't know if they're here to stay because there ain't no way Braun Breaker is going to be second fiddle to Seth Rollins forever. That shit's going to change. But good to see you here, as always, man. Daniel, Barry Sports is here. We All Pro Wrestling in here for a review. I'm sure I'll see you later for Mind Games. The night before, Razor. Oh, no, was that Buried Alive? Yeah, it was Buried Alive when Razor and Diesel came back. Not Mind Games. But I think they started getting the ball rolling during Mind Games, I think. I forgot how that went. But anyway, we're watching that later tonight. JL, good to see you. David Brown, wrestling, cheer me up tonight since you lost your gran on Thursday. I'm so sorry to hear that. Losing grandparents is tough. We've all, I'm sure, been through it. I've been very lucky because of my unique family structure to have 3 grandmothers and 4 grandfathers, and I lost them all. And it's always hard, Grandmas are the best. Grandmas rule. Grandmas fucking rule. Sorry for your loss, David Brown, and I'm glad you're in here with us today. Double Blue UK, love from the UK. Glad you're here, man. Thanks, and good to see you. We got William in the house. We've got Fox Star Killer. David Hosier is here as well, along with Andy Linnell. Chicken, who? Chicken, I lost my place again. I hate Chicken King. Chicken King 51, the Chicken Man. Right on. The Juliet, appreciate the $2. Psycho Stu has been released from the hospital. Yes, I did see that. Good for him. His GoFundMe is upwards of about $220,000 right now. And if he decides to sue, and he could be a rich man, and that's the least he deserves after what happened to him, because apparently he's still got a lot of recovery to still have happen. He's got broken bones, broken teeth, broken everything in his face, and the fact that he is actually released from the hospital is a good sign. So all the best to Psycho Stu and his recovery, because it ain't over for him yet, and I'm sure he's still in a lot of fucking pain. Just sucks. Tatanani is here. Good to see you. We've got Juice81, along with, I think, Fox Star, I got you. Austin is in the house. AJ Lee is coming back. She could be. The Juliet is gifting out a channel membership to William. Welcome to the family, William, and thanks, Juliet, as always, for that. Denny Downbad is in the house. So is Ricky Zalbadar. Anybody else chiming in, saying hello. Thank you for being here for our Clash in Paris review. We should probably get through this relatively quickly here because we are coming back soon to do a watch-along tonight. So let's get into it. Also, do me a favor. I think I said this twice. Thumbs up button. Give it a smash. A nice, big, fat smash. All right, let's start out with the man you see on the screen here. Not to keep you in suspense, but if you can't tell by the image there, Roman Reigns did defeat Bronson Reed in the opener. This whole entire piece of business took the first hour of the show between these long-ass entrances and all of the production and all the video packages before the match, then the post-match stuff. The whole thing took up the first hour, which was pretty wild. By the way, big crowd there. I didn't catch the name of the resistance. It's not La Resistance Arena. What is it? It's La something Arena there. It's La Resistance Arena. 30,000, over 30,000 fans they had. It doesn't look like a huge building, but it kind of resembles, I guess it's the Rosemont Horizon or Allstate Arena, whatever that is in Chicago, but like kind of a bigger version of that, way bigger floor. And they had 30,000 people in there, and that crowd was fucking jacked. Plus, I did enjoy the set. Looked like they had a big like Eiffel Tower kind of thing in the middle there. Nice long entrance ramp, and the building and the setup looked terrific. The atmosphere looked to be a lot of fun. Probably didn't smell too good in there, but it looked to be a lot of fun, and I would have loved to be there. I don't want to say it's a bucket list because I don't think I'll ever do it, but I would like to go to a European WWE show, a TV show, and just kind of be there in the crowd and just watch them do their thing. They're incredible. So WWE's heading back there, by the way. They announced a whole slew of dates in January on the road to the Royal Rumble next year of a lot of TVs, Raws and SmackDowns, all overseas again. So they are coming back, and you're not going to have to wait long. All those cities over there in Europe, because they are on the way back. And tonight's show was really fun from a crowd perspective. Just so much fun to watch them do their thing, and then watching the dumbasses here in America try to mimic their energy. You know, now we've copied their songs and we're trying to be like them. Stop it. It's like when white guys try to dance like black guys. Stop. For the love of fucking God. Stop. You can't do it. You're not as good as them. Accept it. And I say the same thing to the American audience. Stop trying to be like them. They're good at it. We are not. Let them do their thing. So crowd was out in full force today, and that was awesome. So it opened up with what we thought it would. Roman Reigns taking on Bronson Reed. Roman Reigns either opens or closes shows. That's the way it's been ever since he became the tribal chief, and this show was no different. Roman Reigns and Bronson Reed, you know, this one wasn't that difficult to predict for me, just based on what Reed has done to him and taken the shoes 2 times away from him. Roman Reigns was going to have to win this match. We knew it was going to be a hard-hitting affair by 2 very meaty men. One man is even meatier than the other, and that's exactly what we got. Just good brawl, stiff shit between these guys, and Roman Reigns, as predicted, got the win over Bronson Reed, hit him with a final spear, wins the match, celebrates after the match, retrieves his shoes, and brings the shoes into the ring where Paul Heyman is standing, and Roman Reigns chokes him out. I thought Breakker would be in the ring to stop this, but he doesn't. Roman puts Paul Heyman in the guillotine choke and just completely chokes out Paul Heyman. Then he goes back onto the outside of the ring again. He's got his shoes, and he's standing up on the announce table celebrating. And then the camera pans over to where like the timekeeper's area is, and you see Braun Breaker standing on the other announce table. He comes in with a spear onto Roman Reigns, and when they landed, Breaker kind of did. He almost looked like he hurt himself. Well, there's the Roman choke on Heyman, by the way. But when Breaker speared Roman through the table, he kind of was like, ugh. And I couldn't tell if he was just selling the fact that a move like that hurts him too. But he was kind of like, oh, you know, just kind of doing that a little bit. I'm like, oh, man, I hope he did not hurt himself on that spot, please. You know, the Vision cannot afford an injury right now. This is a big story in WWE. I was watching Breaker's reaction a little bit, and I thought he might have hurt himself for real. But he wound up recovering just fine. Looked like he was walking around okay on his lower back or whatever happened to him there. And then Roman Reigns recovers from that. The officials are kind of helping him to the back, and then when he gets into the aisleway, Breaker comes back and hits him with another spear. So we're in Operation Takedown Roman again. So then they throw Roman in the ring. They beat the shit out of him. Bronson Reed goes to the top, hits Roman Reigns with a tsunami. I think he might have hit him with, was it 2? I think just 1 tsunami. So then now all the agents are out there, officials are out there, EMTs are out there, and they stretcher Roman Reigns. They put him on the stretcher, but they're not done. The Vision returns. They start attacking Roman Reigns some more, and Bronson Reed hits another tsunami onto Roman Reigns with him still on the stretcher. That finally brings out cousin Jey Uso, who tries to come out and help, but he gets beat down as well. And then Reed goes up and hits yet another tsunami, and you hear Michael Cole screaming, "You're gonna kill him!" And he almost did. So Roman got absolutely decimated, got speared through the table, hit with 3 tsunamis, including 2 of them while he was strapped to a stretcher. And Adam Pearce, after the match, was livid. He was screaming at Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker and banned them both from the arena and said if they show back up here later on in the main event to interfere in Seth Rollins' match, they will be suspended indefinitely without pay, and really laid down the law there. So that left Rollins all by himself because Paul Heyman, as we saw, got choked out. So he's choked out, Reed and Breaker are gone, and now Rollins is left high and dry. Rollins did not appear to be upset with his cohorts. Later in the night when he was interviewed, he even said, I got a plan B, it's all good. So I thought maybe Seth would be a little bit upset, how you guys did all that shit and you left me out there by myself, but feels like all is going to be okay in Vision Land because Seth has some extra backup. But Roman got absolutely taken out. I don't know what this means now, if they're setting up, maybe a Roman and Breaker match for WrestlePalooza, if they really, really want to set this thing up huge, up against All Out, or, if they're trying to bide their time for Roman and Breaker at WrestleMania. I don't really know, but Roman and Breaker is going to have to happen at some point, and when that match happens, that's completely different than Roman and Bronson. I think, Breaker needs to perhaps win the big one-on-one match whenever that happens with Roman Reigns, whether it be for a championship or whatever. We will see. But Roman now knocked out again. We'll see if that's a way to keep him off TV just to get through WrestlePalooza and Crown Jewel, and then have him back to build for Survivor Series, which is what I'm guessing we're going to see is some sort of a War Games match with the Vision against some baby faces. We'll see what happens. Roman Reigns, unfortunately, will probably not be on Raw tomorrow, which is also in Paris. Maybe he will. Maybe he'll show up, surprise the crowd, come through the crowd all with his ribs all taped up or something, and get him a piece of those guys. I think it's possible. I mean, Raw is in Paris, so Roman made the trip all the way over there. You might as well try to utilize him on both shows instead of just one. But usually in cases like this, that means you're going to be written off for a while. But I'm going to kind of hold out, I don't want to say hold out hope, but think that there actually is a pretty good possibility that we do see one of those, injured, leaving the hospital without doctor's orders types of run-ins, where they come in, they're all bandaged and they got the fucking IV still sticking in them and he's trying to come out there and get some revenge. We might see something like that tomorrow night from Roman Reigns. Or maybe he comes out to try to get him a piece, but since he's so beat up that he's no match for them and they beat him down again, and that's where they write him off, is tomorrow night. So we'll see. Raw tomorrow. I think there's an 11 a.m. start time here for me on the West Coast. I think it's 2 p.m. Eastern, right, for Raw. So we probably will be up here tomorrow for a Raw review. I got to figure all that out tonight because after a pay-per-view, usually things can happen and they've got to start setting up for WrestlePalooza. So unlike last week where there was really nothing to talk about, there might be something to talk about tomorrow. So keep a lookout for a Raw review tomorrow afternoon, probably right around this time. Up next was the Tag Team Championship match, the Wyatt Six defending against the Street Profits. I don't know what was going on with the Street Profits when they came out there. They were doing one of those video game co-promotion things. AEW does this sometimes too. And Montez and Dawkins was out there dressed in some crazy shit, but I don't play video games, so I had no idea what it was. I just wanted to make sure that I haven't been missing anything, and they've been coming out wearing that shit for months, and I'm just now noticing. But apparently it was just something to do with the video game. And, of course, they won the number one contenders match last night on SmackDown to earn this opportunity. I wasn't really feeling a title change here. Just wasn't feeling it. And we didn't see one. Uncle Howdy got involved. It was pretty much him that gave the assist here because Howdy and Rowan and Nikki were all in the aisleway there. Howdy in the rocking chair watching the match. Montez is on the outside of the ring with the referee's back turned. Howdy jumps up from his chair, hits his sister Abigail on the floor to Montez, chucks him in the ring, and Gacy and Loomis hit what they call the Plague for the win. So their little finisher tandem deal, whatever the fuck it is. It's called the Plague, and they retained the Tag Team Championships in a pretty good match, but it's one that we could have just gotten on SmackDown. But I am glad that at least we got a Tag Team title match on the show, since I think they got left off of SummerSlam, right? So it is what it is. Wyatt Six retain. I think that's good, at least for the time being. I really liked what we saw last night. or not last night, Friday night on SmackDown from Bo Dallas. The way he kind of issued a warning to both teams prior to the number one contenders match and how much he looked like and resembled and sounded like Bray Wyatt. It's almost as if Bo Dallas and Bray Wyatt could be brothers. They look related. That's how similar they look. They could almost be related. It's crazy. So I'd like to see more of that from Bo Dallas. Maybe even Bo Dallas turning into the Fiend at some point might be kind of fun. I think he could pull it off. All right, up next was the Intercontinental Championship match. Becky Lynch, Rebecca Lynch, defending against Nicole Bella. I need a Nikki Bella IC run like I need the runs. No. Please, God. I'm fine that Nikki is back. I got no problem with that. But Jesus, man, come on. Let's, please, God, not fucking do this. Luckily, they didn't. I want to know from you guys what you thought of the match. I don't think it was a bad match, but, man, there was a couple spots that were just fucking awful looking. One of them was even Becky's fault. Nikki went up to the second rope for what appeared to be kind of like a disaster kick. And when she sprung backwards, Becky was way out of position. Like she was 10 feet away from her, and Nikki kind of just kicked the air. And then you could see Becky, she thought about it. For a brief second, she thought about selling it. She almost sold it. She kind of went like this with her head, and then I think she thought better, like, wait a minute. Nikki's kick missed by 12 feet. Why am I going to sell this? And we've seen some instances in the past where wrestlers have sold a kick or a punch or something that missed by a fucking mile. And watching Becky, in the moment, almost sell and then pull back was really, really funny. That looked like shit. A couple other things were a little clunky. I still, though, think it was a pretty good match for Nikki Bella standards because before Nikki Bella retired, I thought that she really, at least in my eyes, started improving in that final year or two. Her matches, she was no longer, at least in my mind, maybe not to other fans, but at least for me, that was kind of when I stopped looking at her as just a super hot bikini model who got in the ring as someone who could actually work. And it took her a while to get there because the Bellas got hired, not because they were good wrestlers or good athletes, because they were smoking hot. On the 1 through 10 scale, they're both 19s. So that's why they got hired, just like why a lot of women in the past have gotten hired. The diva search bullshit, all they were doing, who's got the best tits and the hottest face. That's all they were doing back then, and it was such a joke. And the fact that Nikki kind of really near the end became someone that I considered to be a credible performer in the ring, and even at that Evolution show years ago, she had a good match with Ronda Rousey. And now she's had a lot going on in her life. She's since been married, divorced, had a kid, or all this shit going on. She's been out of the ring for several years and now coming back, working a match with Becky Lynch that actually wasn't that bad. So they had a couple of, embarrassing moments in there, but overall, I still thought it was a decent match. And I would have preferred, obviously, Io Sky versus Stephanie Vaquer, Io Sky versus Ripley, or a triple threat, or anything like that instead of this. But it was still decent enough for me to be fine with it. Now, the finish was kind of interesting. Wade Barrett is calling it the Lynch pin. And so Becky, somebody said replied to me on Twitter, said that this was an Evolution finish. I've already forgot what happened at Evolution in July. So if this was a finish in one of the matches, you're going to have to help me. But Becky basically kind of looked like she was going to go for like one of those roll-through crucifix pins, kind of like how she won the title at WrestleMania from Ronda Rousey, WrestleMania 35. But instead of rolling through into a crucifix, it was kind of like a backslide. And she pinned her and retained the championship. And Wade Barrett calls it the Lynch pin. I think that she can work on that to make it look good. It looked okay, but it kind of reminded me a little bit of Moneymaker. Of the Moneymaker, because, even though one's a pin and one's a move, the Moneymaker is like, that's such a difficult move to make look good. And the percentage, of times that it looks good is lower than the times it looks bad. And I think with Nikki's pin, she's kind of running the same risk there. But I think the most impressive move to see executed consistently good is the O-face. I'm so blown away with how well Athena executes that, a move that is hard to do, and executes it with, such a, high success rate. moves like that sometimes make me nervous. And I feel like the Lynch pin, there are going to be times where you're going to roll through that and it's not going to look right, or you're going to miss the arms, and then you're going to have to try to recover and then hold it down, and pins are going to look funky like that in the future. But luckily, she's got the manhandle slam, she's got the disarmer, she's got other shit she can use, and now add Lynch pin to her repertoire. All right, up next was the good old-fashioned Donnie Brooke. I would like to know what a modern Donnie Brooke looks like. If this was an old-fashioned one, what does a modern one look like? We should get a modern one in WWE at some point. They've decorated everything, the outside of the ring here for this Donnie Brooke. They've got whiskey barrels around the perimeter of the ring, plus they have 4 whiskey barrels stacked with them tightly wrapped together, and then there was tables next to that. So you knew something was going to happen there. They also had like a wooden bar, like one of those little bars you can buy and stick in the corner of your living room or something. They had one of those out there as well. And then these two guys proceed just to have their banger and just start smashing the absolute hell out of each other, which they did. Just stiff kicks, stiff forearms, stiff punches, stiff everything. This match was, stiffer than a 12-year-old reading the Sports Illustrated swimsuit catalog. Crushed each other here. The fans enjoyed when Sheamus pulled Rusev back over the barricade and was doing the forearm thing, only he was doing it with the shillelagh. So he had about 20 of those, which was great. We had, like I said, that bar thing was out there. They tipped that over, and Sheamus got slammed through the bar. So Sheamus is the bar. He was literally the bar. He got slammed into the bar, became a part of the bar. So got slammed through that. And after all the brawling goes through all of the outside area, in the ring, all through the outside, they even got into the crowd just a slight bit as well. You knew that at some point they were going to single out those whiskey barrels that were stacked up there, which they did. So they start climbing on top of them, and Rusev puts Sheamus in the Accolade on top of the whiskey barrels, which was a pretty cool sight. And then one thing I don't like about spots like this, because those barrels were very wobbly, those are probably very difficult to stand on, but the amount of time it takes sometimes to set up a move sometimes just doesn't look very realistic. It's a problem we see across all promotions every year throughout wrestling. Sometimes moves like this just look a little bit silly, and Sheamus is able to get out of the Accolade and then lift Rusev up into a white noise, but Rusev was cooperating with it. Here, grab my leg. Here, grab my arm. And they're just working together to execute this move. And the setup for it just looked a little weird. Jumped off the barrels, white noise to Rusev through the tables, off of the barrels, and then they're back in the ring, and Rusev eats a bro kick right to the temple and kicks out. So he kicked out of all that. The white noise through the table, then gets bro kicked in the ring, Sheamus' finisher that's relatively protected, and he kicks out. So Rusev then breaks the shillelagh over Sheamus, just completely shatters it, and Sheamus is able to kick out of that. But then Rusev puts Sheamus back in the Accolade, grabs a piece of the broken shillelagh, as you see, and sticks it in Sheamus's mouth, and then pulls him all the way back, and it only takes a couple of seconds, and Sheamus taps out, and Rusev gets the win. I did predict him to win this, a little bit surprised by the tap-out finish there, and Wade Barrett said, I don't know if this is true or not, or maybe Michael Cole did, one of them mentioned that it's only the second time in Sheamus's career that he tapped out. When did he debut? 2010? Or 9? We're talking 15, 16 years, 2 tap-outs? That's wild. I have no idea where the other tap-out took place or who did it to him, but that's pretty incredible. I'm hoping that this isn't another, write-off for Sheamus. We love Sheamus. Sheamus is, in his 40s now. He's probably near the end of his career as well, but man, he can still have bangers. He's still capable, still looks great. Fans still love him, and I hope this isn't another, hiatus that we see from Sheamus here after losing to Rusev, but I do think Rusev winning here was the right thing to do. You still got to try to, see if something can be made of Rusev here in this WWE run, and try to do more than just being in the spot that he's in, and he hasn't really moved from that spot at all. So I think he at least had to win here to have a chance to do something more in the future. And in terms of Sheamus and his future, this might turn into one of those things like like Cesaro and Sheamus, maybe these two, their rivalry winds up bringing them together in a future tag team. Like if they can't ever figure out any way to make Rusev any sort of a credible challenger for a top singles title, then maybe a tag team with Sheamus, they can give themselves a cool name and they can recreate something like the Bar had. I don't know. But I do really like Sheamus, and I'm hoping that this isn't kind of like the beginning of the end of his career, you know? Not ready for it yet. Not ready to say goodbye to Sheamus. Like Sheamus. Love Sheamus. Love Rusev too. Big win for Rusev there in the good old-fashioned Donnie Brooke. Now it's time for John Cena versus Logan Paul. What did you guys think of this match? I didn't think it was that bad. Thought it was pretty good. Logan Paul and Cena, would I say it over-delivered? Probably not. But I think in terms of my expectations, what I'm used to seeing from Logan Paul in his matches, he's been in there with all of the greats in WWE, the Romans and the Codys and the Rollins. He's been there with all the top stars. He only feuds with top guys, it seems like, except for when he first got there and he was messing around with the Miz and shit. But other than that, he's always in there with top guys. And he oftentimes takes losses to these top guys. He's lost to Roman, Cody, Rollins, and now John Cena. I think he's lost to other people as well. And thought he did a pretty good job here. Now, they were reporting, or not reporting, they were saying during the show that this was John Cena was going for his 99th pay-per-view win. He had 99 PLE victories going into tonight. Now, he's second all-time to Undertaker, and he just passed recently Triple H a couple of years ago. So Cena is now, after this victory over Logan Paul, he is now at 99 PLE wins. We know his next one is going to be against Brock at WrestlePalooza. What happens there? Does Brock beat Cena? I feel like he does. I feel like Cena has got a really good chance of retiring with exactly 100 PLE wins. Like, if he loses to Brock, he could still come back in Perth and win a match there or at Survivor Series. But we only have 3 PLEs left of the year. We don't know. Cena might not even be at Survivor Series. I don't know. Who knows? He only has 8 dates left, so he doesn't have that much time left. Who's to say, and if he's going to do Palooza and Crown Jewel and Survivor Series and Saturday night's main event, that means only 4 TV dates. So something's got to give there. There's got to be a pay-per-view or a PLE that he's not going to compete on. I would say Australia. He's definitely probably not going to be at Crown Jewel unless he's been advertised. Has he? I have no idea. But if he has 8 appearances left and we have 4 big shows still on the calendar, if he works all those shows, that only makes him available for 4 TVs. It'd be nice if they could add a couple, 1 or 2 dates to his schedule, but I think it's all set in stone. So he may very well retire with 100 PLE victories, and that's kind of cool. I'm also assuming that stat is accurate. That's accurate. They're not just making that shit up. And if it's accurate, I think that would kind of be cool, that he would retire with 100 PLE victories. But I'm not sure if he's going to beat Brock. If he's on his way out the door, he's got 7 dates left or 6 dates left by the time he faces Brock. Maybe that's what they're doing. Maybe Brock takes him out. Maybe Brock beats him at WrestlePalooza, and then Brock is like, we'll get to the Logan match in a second here. I've just got this idea in my head. Maybe when you get to Brock and Cena at WrestlePalooza, that Brock beats him or maybe just annihilates him. Like maybe Brock is going into the match with the intention of saying, and I bet you Brock will say this too, you're not going to see December. I'm going to end your career on September 20th. There is going to be no Saturday night's main event send-off for you. There is going to be no 7 dates left. You are going to be done on September 20th. I'm going to retire you right there. And let's say he does it. And start watching the TV appearances too. If John Cena burns through 3 more TV appearances before we get to WrestlePalooza, that's only going to leave a couple left. So that means Brock might completely annihilate him at WrestlePalooza, knock him out, and then maybe Cena comes back at the last minute, comes back in early December with 2 dates left on his calendar, or 3, challenges Brock Lesnar to a rematch on Saturday night's main event. I'm going to go out beating you. And he does. And John Cena beats Brock Lesnar on Saturday night's main event. That could be a way to explain the lack of dates here, because John Cena is going to have to take a month off somewhere. So I feel like whatever happens at WrestlePalooza, that'll be the last time we see John Cena until probably at least November. He'll probably be off TV all throughout the month of October. That's my guess. When you look at the amount of dates he has left, what does he have left? 7? 7? So December is 4 months away. 7? I think something like that's going to happen. I think John Cena's final match could very well be against Brock Lesnar in a rematch of WrestlePalooza. Just something I'm thinking about out loud there. Let me know if you, yay or nay, agree with that assessment. But anyway, Logan Paul and John Cena had a pretty good match here. Logan got a little bloody. Blood was trickling out his nose. It was rubbed all over his face, and I didn't catch it. I'm like watching the match, and then all of a sudden I see Logan Paul's face covered in blood, and I'm rewinding back 10 seconds. I'm like, where the fuck did he get nailed? I think he just got tagged in the nose, and his nose is bleeding, and then the blood got wiped on his face. So I was like, where did he get all scraped up? So he was got his bell rung a little bit there, but still a pretty good match. Logan Paul kicks out of an AA, then he kicked out of another AA later. So that's John Cena saying, hey, kick out of 2 of my finishers, go for it. John Cena hitting the Destroyer or the Pop Rocks on Logan Paul kind of got a chuckle out of me. John Cena was pulling out moves tonight that we hadn't seen him use very often or very rarely or not at all. Hit a Styles Clash on Logan Paul, which made me nervous. You know, I don't mind it when Will Ospreay does it. I don't even mind it when Logan Paul does it because they can execute it fine, and it did look a little scary there. But John Cena did get it off for a near fall. Logan Paul kicked out of that too. So Cena gave a little tribute there to AJ Styles with the Styles Clash, and he also gave a tribute to Baron Corbin with an End of Days. Hits an End of Days on Logan Paul, which was kind of cool. That was also a near fall. So John Cena paid tribute to Baron Corbin with the End of Days. Rusev paid tribute to Baron Corbin with the flat belly button. So we had 2 Baron Corbin tributes on the show. I just think the Rusev one was unintentional. But near fall on the End of Days there. Finally, John Cena is able to hit 2 more AAs for the win, but it was kind of a weird setup. He hit 1 AA on Logan and then rolled through to hit him with another one, that little roll through thing he does. But when he comes up for the second one, Logan pushes off and then clocks John Cena with his big punch, but it wasn't enough to knock him out, right? He just kind of fell to a knee and then picked up Logan again for the other AA, gets him over this time, pins him for the win, and John Cena defeats Logan Paul. Now, that wasn't that hard for me to predict because of the WrestlePalooza match next month with Brock Lesnar and John Cena. If that match wasn't on the calendar or already in our heads, then maybe I would have had a harder time predicting this, but you're not going to have Cena lose here ahead of his match with Brock Lesnar unless Brock Lesnar showed up and cost Cena the match. And something for the future. I mean, Brock Lesnar's back. I wish he wasn't, but there's nothing I can do about that, right? So Lesnar is back. Am I crazy for kind of thinking a Brock Lesnar and Logan Paul match might be kind of fun? I'd be into that. I'd be completely into Brock Lesnar and Logan Paul. I think that would be a really, really fun match. And I think they should do it. I'm hoping that the Royal Rumble is Brock Lesnar versus Logan Paul. That's what I hope we get. Or WrestleMania. WrestleMania might be good as well. So John Cena gets the win. He beats Logan Paul. And then he goes out to the outside of the ring and he finds that kid again. The same kid that I shit on hard in the podcast yesterday because on Friday night on SmackDown, he was in the crowd there in Lyon. And this is the same kid that was in the crowd in Belgium, in Brussels, Belgium, earlier on in the year when John Cena cut his first heel promo and he broke the kid's heart. And they cut to the kid and his John Cena shit. Then Friday night, Cena locates him in the crowd and goes out to talk to the kid. And with the microphone, like this is a national television pro wrestling segment. This isn't off air. This isn't anything like that. This is on TV. And he approaches the kid to deliver this heartfelt apology. And the little motherfucker cannot stop looking at his phone. And I think he was trying to get his camera up or do something, or maybe, I don't know what the fuck he was doing. But Cena is pouring his heart out to the kid, and the kid can't stop fucking with his phone. If I would have been his dad, I would have snatched that thing out of his fucking hand, grabbed him by the head, and turned his head towards John Cena. Look at him. Look him in the eye, you little fucker. And I said yesterday in the podcast, that kid is going to live to regret that. And I felt bad for him because he might not know it now, but when he gets older, when he's 25 years old and he thinks back to the fact that he was a part of John Cena, a big part of John Cena's farewell tour, this random fan who is now going to be forever remembered, as part of John Cena's farewell tour, is always going to have to go back and watch a video of himself looking at his phone instead of looking at John Cena, who's looking him right in his face with his arm around him. The kid can't be bothered to move his fucking face away from his phone. And I said, I was like, if I was that kid's dad, I would have lectured the fuck out of him in the car. Or I would be like, God damn, dude, what were you doing? Or I would have grabbed the phone out of his hand and said, let me just record it. Let me record you talking to John Cena. We'll get it all on film. Don't worry. Everybody, all your social media, you can get your likes from your Aunt Pam or whatever. How many followers does a kid like that fucking have? What, he needs a like from his aunt? Who gives a shit? So the fact that he was working so hard to mess with his phone was driving me crazy. And so then later on, after John Cena beats Logan Paul here tonight, he sees the kid again in the front row. And this time, it's all different. Somebody has smartened this kid up. He knew that he shouldn't have been looking at his phone on Friday night, and he didn't even have a phone in his hand. John Cena went to the outside of the ring, hugs the kid, takes a photo up with, look how happy the kid looks here. Look at the smile on this kid's face. Friday night, he was just buried in his phone, like nothing mattered. So this was much better. This kid is lucky. He is so lucky because he got a second chance. And I know it sounds crazy, but if that was me, that would drive me crazy forever. We all think about something you did as a kid that you're so fucking embarrassed that you did. And I'm like, man, I wish I could go back in time and slap myself in the fucking face. We all have instances like that. And I felt bad that this kid was going to live with that regret, especially if he turns out to be a lifelong fan. He's never going to forgive himself. So the fact that he got another chance here, and this time he had John Cena's undivided attention. He didn't have his phone, and he was able to have that moment with Cena was nice, and I'm really glad that that kid got a second chance there. John Cena also went over next to him and kissed his wife. I'm sorry? I didn't even know John Cena was married. How did I not know this, or did I hear about it? I thought John Cena was like a lifelong bachelor. I had no clue Cena was even married. I probably did have a clue he was married. I probably knew that and forgot. That's my guess, because I don't know how I would have missed that. Was she in the crowd for the Nikki match? Was she sitting there watching Nikki Bella? Eskimo Sisters or whatever? So I don't know if she was out there for that. But John Cena kissing his wife, that was a sweet moment. And I'm really glad that the kid was able to put his phone down for 5 seconds so he can share a moment with the greatest of all time. Prior to the match, when Logan made his entrance, it was a wild still shot of the entire crowd with their phones ready to film John Cena's entrance. And I'll give him a pass there. If you're going to see John Cena for the final time, I'm probably going to record that shit too. It's just such a sad state of affairs in our society, and our world is just collapsing with the what's it called? Just the dependency on these fucking things. And did you also see the video of Rhea Ripley walking around Paris and got mobbed by a bunch of fucking losers? Had to have been like 8 or 9 dudes. They see her, they start following her around, and every fucking one of them, I get so mad when I talk about this, every fucking one of them are going like this with their phone, trying to record themselves following Ripley around. She goes up to her car. They are like surrounding her. One guy's looking over her shoulder as she's on her phone, and they're all going like this. They're all trying to get themselves on film or camera with Rhea Ripley, who's not even looking at them, has her back turned, trying to get into her car, trying to mind her own business, and they are just mobbing her, and they're all doing the same thing. They all have their phones like this. Is that all that matters to people? It's just making sure you can get your fucking selfie for your Instagram account with 16 followers on it? Like, what in the fuck, is wrong with this world? Just leave her alone. Oh my God. I mean, they go through this shit in the airport. These fat, fucking smelly, deodorantless losers in a black wrestling shirt running up to her or running up to wrestlers trying to get them to sign shit so they have no shame. It's like they don't care how silly and stupid and pathetic they look. They're fine with it. Perfectly fine with it. I don't care if I look like the world's biggest loser, as long as I get a selfie of my face with Ripley's back turned, getting into her car, trying to flee from me. As long as I get that picture, I'm happy. Show some restraint. You know, like, goddamn. Fucking fans. So poor Ripley can't even walk. I mean, no celebrity can. I mean, if Taylor Swift walked out her door and just took a little stroll down to her local Wendy's or something, fucking fans would shit bricks. But that's just the life of a famous person. But watching all of those complete and total, utter, jaw-droppingly stupid losers all doing that at the same time, I'm like, humans are just lumbering mounds of meat with eyes. That's it. They're just robots. You know, it's just so crazy how everybody is the same. Every single person built and programmed the same way. There's no originality anymore. Everybody has to be the same, look the same, dress the same, talk the same, do the same thing with their phone. You know, I just talked about this in the podcast yesterday. You know, young women come into the restaurant. I had 6 girls in there the other night. They were probably in their like early 20s, and they were all communicating with each other, but through their phones. They all took pictures of their food, took pictures of each other, got 5 pictures out in front of the sunset in their dresses and doing the kissy face and all of this, you know, and their eyes spent more time on the screens than it did with each other. You know, their friend is sitting right across from them. She could just look to her and talk to her. Nope. Oh my God, I'm going to send you this on Instagram and you're going to like it. Okay. You know, it's, I don't like getting old, but I'm also really happy that I'm the age that I am. I'm just glad that I didn't grow up in this culture to where the only thing that matters to me at all is this thing. These kids, those little fuckers that surrounded Rhea Ripley, ain't one of them ever climbed a tree. They've never built a fort. They've never scraped at their knees. They've never played a sport. They've never ridden a bike. They don't do any of that shit. It's just social media and video games, and that's it. That's their life. Sad. Sad state of affairs. Sad, capital letters with an exclamation point. My God. But anyway, Cena kisses his wife. Happy times there. It's probably not going to be happy for long because I think Cena's going to get beaten up soon by Brock Lesnar. But then after that was when they had, I guess, a French announcer. I didn't catch his name, but he came out to announce to the crowd in French that attendance was 30,343. Also, Michael Cole was very happy to translate this. They broke the record of the previous highest gate in that arena set by Taylor Swift. So they're bragging about the insane ticket price. Like basically what they're bragging about here is saying our tickets are more expensive than Taylor Swift, and Taylor Swift's tickets are expensive as all hell, aren't they? Don't they go for like $100,000 a ticket or some shit like that? Like she's got crazy prices on her stuff. So the fact that they outdrew Taylor Swift in terms of a dollar figure gate is a weird thing to brag about. They're basically just bragging about separating as many fans from their money as possible, and it's just ridiculous. But still a very impressive crowd. 30,000 is awesome, and when you have 30,000 of those fans, this isn't 30,000 people in, what's it called? The town in Texas that sucks. The one in the corner there. Not Galveston, but Corpus Christi. It's not 10,000 Corpus Christi fans. This is 10,000 Paris fans, and they were very, very lively and big crowd on hand. All right, that leaves us with the main event. Seth Rollins defending his World Heavyweight Championship against Jey Uso, CM Punk, and Los Angeles Knight. Not too much of a surprise here in terms of the outcome, but the match was fun. Of course, they brawled everywhere. Punk and Rollins really, were highlighting how much they despise each other, and that was good. Trying to, rate the match in terms of fatal four-ways, pretty standard. They didn't do any crazy spots here that I wasn't expecting or were too overly surprising. As a matter of fact, during the entrances, I'm like, holy shit, I still have to eat lunch. but I don't want to wait until the pay-per-view is over, so I actually drove down the road to go get myself a sandwich during the entrances and got back probably 2 minutes after the bell rang. Like, so after all that, everybody made their entrances, and then Alicia, whatever, made all the announcements. I was able to be back in time before the match really got cooking there. But Rollins, to set up his victory, he starts taking people out one at a time. LA Knight has got Rollins laid out on a table. Knight goes to the outside, climbs to the top rope to deliver a top rope elbow drop through the table to Seth, but Seth moves and Knight gets taken out by his own bump there. And I was thinking, man, is LA Knight ever going to win the world championship? Is he ever going to win a world title in WWE? I have my doubts. And why not put the title on him here? Give him this moment in front of 30,000 fans, let him win the championship, and then give it back to Seth at WrestlePalooza. I actually thought that maybe they could do that if they wanted to, but realistically, that probably wasn't going to be the case. Rollins just won the belt at SummerSlam. He's not going to drop it here. So after Knight misses the top rope elbow and takes himself out, Rollins goes and into the ring where Punk is, takes down Punk, and he's screaming at Punk. He's screaming at him that I hate your guts. I hate your family. I want you to go away. I want to end you. And then he goes out to the outside of the ring to grab a chair. So he grabs a chair to use on Punk, but before he does, he delivers a stomp to Jey Uso, who's starting to recover over on the other side of the ring. He stomps him, and then he comes back and gives LA Knight one more stomp as well. So Knight just went through the table, and he got stomped. Jey is stomped on the outside, leaving only CM Punk and Seth Rollins in the ring by themselves. So Rollins brings the chair into the ring, and he puts Punk's head in it, and he's going to deliver a stomp to Punk and pretty much end him. And that's when Seth misses the stomps basically through the chair, kind of injuring his knee. And CM Punk then lifts up Seth for the go to sleep and hits him with it, and then goes for a second go to sleep. And when he's got him up for the second go to sleep, this is when you knew something was going to happen, because he just hit him with one. And when Punk was going for the second one, I'm like, okay, I'm looking, because we know Uso and we know LA Knight are out. They're not going to come in and break up this 3 count here. So if Punk hits this GTS, he's going to win the championship. So I'm like, who's coming? And then as soon as he lifts him up in the fireman's carry for the GTS, somebody comes in from behind. You could tell instantly. You could tell instantly it was Becky. She was so small. You could see her eyes. You could even see some of her red hair. And she's got a hoodie on and a mask, but you could still tell it was her. She's in from behind. Low blow to CM Punk. She pulls off the mask to reveal it's Becky Lynch. Seth then comes in with a stomp to Punk on the chair and pins him for the victory and retains the World Heavyweight Championship with an assist from his lovely wife. And Becky and Seth celebrate. I don't know or think that this is necessarily her joining the Vision. I think this is Seth having a plan B, where, hey, I still got a wife, and he used her. So I don't think she's really going to be joining the Vision. She might, but I'm not convinced of that yet. We'll see tomorrow on Raw if that's the case or not. But Becky and Seth then celebrate in the ring. He kisses her, and he's holding up the title, and I mentioned it in the beginning of the review here. I said what I did like about this is that Seth Rollins was able to surprise most fans with something that was right under our noses. Because I was thinking all night long, the minute that Adam Pearce threw out Breakker and Reed and we knew Heyman was injured, I'm like, okay, what's going to happen in the main event now? Rollins is going to survive. How's he going to survive? Is he really going to do this on his own? I doubt it. Something's going to have to happen. So speculation was going crazy all throughout the show that we were going to see some new member of the Vision debut, and if we do, who is that going to be? Some folks might have mentioned Becky Lynch, but I didn't see anybody mention it. I didn't see anybody have this sniffed out at all. And then even prior to the match, Rollins tells, I think, Kathy Kelly, right, that he has a plan B. He didn't seem too worried. He wasn't even worried or upset that his faction is gone. He didn't vent any frustration. Hey, I wish Reed and Breakker would have talked to me before they took out Roman Reigns. You know, I wish we would have discussed this. Now they're gone. They've put me at risk as the leader of this faction and their leader. I'm really upset about this. He wasn't upset at all. Was fine with it. Yeah, I'm fine. I'll be fine. You know, I got my smoking hot wife coming in with a low blow. All good. You know, and I like that. I like that. So Rollins, he looks kind of smart in this way because, you know, that's something that Punk probably didn't see coming. And like I also said earlier, when I mentioned the AJ Lee thing, you know, a lot of fans, you know, oh, she's never coming back. Good, Mike. 3 people told me that on Twitter. Greg, she's not coming back, Greg. What are you talking about? You are not looking at any different internet than I am. We all read the same shit. So if you read one thing, one place that she's not coming back, why is that? Why are you so quick to believe that? You know, look at the finish they did here. You know, if they weren't going to bring AJ Lee back, or at least didn't want the fans talking about it, then they would have figured out some other way. They wouldn't have banned Reed and Breakker from the building. And I mentioned that too earlier on, that we saw so much of that bullshit from the Bloodline for so many years, every match ending the same way. Props to WWE for throwing a different finish, because you knew Rollins was going to need an assist to survive a 4-way like this. So if you just did Reed and Breakker, it would just give off Bloodline vibes. Just like when the Usos or Solo Sikoa or whatever came in every time and helped Roman win. Same shit. Different pay-per-view over and over. That was a huge complaint from the fans during the tail end of that Bloodline stuff, is that we're always seeing the same finishes. Roman is retaining in the same way every time. Nothing is different. And if you start doing that exact same thing with Heyman's new guy, Seth Rollins, it's going to draw too many comparisons. So Becky Lynch was a nice twist on this to give Rollins, a typical victory with some help, but doing it in not the typical way. And then when you combine the fact that you got husband and wife, Becky and Seth, there standing over CM Punk, who is also married to a wrestler that many fans have been clamoring to see the return of for many, many years, we might actually have a chance to see that now. The timing adds up. WWE probably really wants to build up WrestlePalooza against All Out. It's going to be their first pay-per-view on ESPN. By the way, they said goodbye to Peacock tonight. They thanked Peacock for their partnership and all that. And they're still going to stay on Peacock with NXT and some other stuff. But this was the last PLE, guys, on Peacock. That's it. So now it's off to ESPN, and it's the first show on ESPN. And the last thing they want to do is have that show bomb or get beaten by the competition show. So you'd have to think it stands to reason that they really are going to put some major things on the show. And if you book an AJ Lee return, you know, that might be enough to convince some fans to choose WWE. We're split screening it on the 20th. We're going to be reacting to both. I'm going to have priority on All Out, but we're going to have WrestlePalooza going on as well. I'll have to figure out how I work on the overlay for that. But it's going to be fun. On the 20th, we're going to watch both at the same time together, all of us. So maybe we could see her come back. But WWE and CM Punk have got to know that if you run an angle where Becky Lynch costs you the championship and she low blows you, and then Becky and her husband stand over your body, you got to know that fans are going to think AJ Lee. They're going to speculate about AJ Lee. And if I'm CM Punk and AJ Lee has no plans in coming back, and she doesn't want to, or she's fine, happy with her life, or she doesn't have any interest in returning to the ring, if I'm CM Punk, I'm speaking up. Hey, if we do this finish, everybody's going to think my wife is coming back and she's not. Do we want to send that message? Do we want to get the fans' hopes up? There's also a chance that AJ Lee isn't coming back full time. She's just coming back one time. AJ Lee, CM Punk beating Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins at WrestlePalooza. And that's AJ's, final match, unless she comes back in for the Rumble or something. Maybe she just comes back and does a couple spots here and there. Works 4 times a year, or shows up 4 times a year. So she doesn't have to be back, but maybe she could come back for a one-off or team up with her husband or something like that. Punk has said recently that they couldn't work together because they drive each other nuts. So maybe it's just like a one-off or something. But WWE has to know that the fans are at least going to be thinking about that, But the show went off the air with Seth Rollins celebrating with his wife, Becky, as he retains the World Heavyweight Championship. So, overall, decent show. I'm going to give it a B. That's all I can give it. And I think a lot of you had similar grades as you were B minuses. Yeah, a lot of Bs. I did see a lot of Bs. All right, let's see what other super chats I'm missing here. Good to see Michael Kumo and Shell Shock and Sammy in the house as well. Cena and Paul ruled, yeah. Like I said earlier, I think it basically matched the expectations I had for it, you know? Like, I didn't think it would be a bad match at all because Logan Paul delivers and Cena is Cena. But we've seen Logan Paul, you know, in some other big matches too, and I didn't know if this one was going to, you know, outshine those. And I don't really think it did, but I still think the match was really good. And it's a match that I'm glad we got. Cena and Logan Paul, at least we got it once. And Cena winning, I think, was definitely the right move. The Juliet 316 dropping $10 in for us. Roman has probably been written off to do the Street Fighter movie. Also, why do I get the feeling Cena will be involved in whatever team goes up against the Vision at War Games, Survivor Series? I don't know. I don't know if I have that feeling, Juliet. I hope that Cena is there because I'm going to be at Survivor Series, so I would like to see him one final time. But I'm not completely convinced he's in there with the Vision. But if he was, you know, that could get him in the ring with a whole lot of people, you know, at once right at the end there. But I'm starting to think about the dates that Cena has and how there's only like 7 of them left and 4 months. I'm thinking Brock Lesnar destroys him at WrestlePalooza and then Cena comes back to face him in December or something right at the end and beat him again. But if Cena was involved in the team to head up against the Vision, that would be awesome because it would probably be John Cena, CM Punk, Roman Reigns, and who, Uso? I guess like the 4 of them, but you're going to need another member in the Vision by that point. If you're going to have a War Games match involving the Vision, you need another guy, don't you? So maybe that happens on Raw tomorrow. I feel like for the Vision, they're either going to have to get an outside member to join them temporarily and like go find a Drew McIntyre or something like that, or they're going to have to add a new member. Curious when Rollins drops the title, too, if he has it till WrestleMania or if it comes off of him prior to that. In a perfect world, they would both retire after that match. I've mentioned this before, Juliet, I'm very much against wrestlers retiring together. Unless you're a tag team or unless you're Edge and Christian, perhaps, or something like that, I'd be fine with that. But I'll never forget, like years ago, how everybody, you know, thought that Undertaker and Triple H should have retired together in the Hell in a Cell match. I'm like, no, they're 2 humongous, larger-than-life WWE characters. They deserve their own special spotlight for the retirement. They're not going to share it. And with Cena retiring, I don't want to share Cena's retirement with Brock. I don't want Brock ruining it. You know, like I'd rather have Cena just retire on his own. We got enough retirements. Goldberg, Tanahashi, a lot of people are retiring. So, yeah, I see what you mean, though, Juliet. You mean Brock just being gone. Fuck yeah, I'm in agreement there. But I always resist the idea of wrestlers retiring together. Well, I wouldn't say AJ is obviously coming back, but I definitely think it's a definite possibility for sure. All right, I think I saw the super chats, right? I think we're all good there. I just want to make sure I didn't miss any. Right on. Yeah. Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay, that would work too, Juliet. Cena's final opponent to be AJ Styles? Yeah, who's it going to be? Who is his final opponent going to be? They did mention AJ Styles tonight, so it could be him. I mean, I don't think it's going to be Cody now that business is all wrapped up. That's why I think right now a good possibility could be Brock Lesnar if they do a rematch. So we will see. All right, guys. Well, let's take a quick little break and get out of here. We'll come back in a bit for Mind Games watch along. I was also thinking, yesterday I mentioned in the podcast that we're going to be doing later in the day podcasts now on Saturday since I'm taking those off. And we're going to give the show more time to, interact and talk about things and whatnot and make them fun. And I wasn't really sure how we were going to do the time on this because I felt like we're going to have to go head-to-head with Collision. There was really no way around that. So I think what we're going to do every Saturday is we're going to go live at 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific. Just like we will here later for the watch-along. So we will basically be going live for the Saturday podcasts now halfway through Collision. So we'll have the final hour of Collision to go head-to-head, but then we'll probably have an hour or two after that where we won't be going up against any wrestling. So I think that's the time that I've decided on for Saturdays, 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific. In the evening is when we're going to start doing the Saturday podcast, starting this coming Saturday. All right, guys, we'll go take a little break, regroup. I will catch you guys in about 45 minutes for our In Your House Mind Games watch-along. Looking forward to it. I will see you guys in just a little bit. Peace.